Live? Are we
Yeah, we're
live?
on the air.
We are. Hi, it's Suzie and Matt over here at Suzie Health Solutions for your weekly dose of Suzilla.
It is episode 109.
Is it?
It is.
Is that good?
It seems to be.
I'm not complaining too much. So if Matt sounds a little cloggy, he's got a cold. He's not happy about it, but he's sucking it up.
Yeah, that's what we do. And today we're going to talk about something that's kind of important because it affects everyone.
Okay.
And that is, experience. What do you experience? We're talking about, some people call it experience. Mm-hmm. Some people call it story building.
Okay. Story building as in building your own personal story?
Building your own personal story, okay. Telling stories.
Okay, I've never actually heard that particular phrase applied here, but I'm not hating it.
Yeah, it's, are you the villain or hero in your own story?
Depends on your beard.
Yes.
Matt and I had a conversation about that. He had his beard trimmed up and it was all, had very sharp, Uli did a great job, gave him some beautiful edges, and I got, villain vibes off it for a couple minutes there.
Yeah, and that's part of, stories.
Yeah, and then of course our son is always saying that villains are always bald. So, and Matt's bald. Mm-hmm. Intentionally, he shaves his head.
Yeah, so we play around with it, and
not that Matt's a villain. He's not a villain. He just can he just can look villainy if he tries.
Well, what kind of brought this is we had one of the biggest classical American story building experiences.
True, we did.
Sunday we went and we did wrestling.
Yep, our local event center got WWE to come and do an event, and they did a full on. They called it the Sunday.
It was a Sunday Slammer.
Sunday Slammer. I want to keep calling it the Stunner. Sure, was that Sunday Stunner?
Yeah, it was the Slammer.
Their Sunday event. It's because the WWE is still trying to rebuild audience again.
Well, it's different. Everything changes, and you got to be cognizant of your change of your business. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of amusing because we hadn't been to an event in 16 years.
Oh no! Last time Matt and I went. We went to a WWE event at the Yakima Sundome, mm-hmm. which is where the WWE had been traditionally performing in Central Washington, and they booked the Town Toyota Center here in Wenatchee for this mm-hmm. one. And they're like, oh, we haven't been here. We've never been here before. It's like, yeah, you have. It's just you weren't the WWE at the time.
Yeah,
because 40 odd years ago, I watched wrestling at the Armory, mm-hmm. and so there's been professional wrestling in Wenatchee, but not this level.
Yeah, and it was interesting because one of the things was we went and did the VIP thing.
Yeah, we made it an actual full-on mm-hmm. beginning to end experience.
And they actually called it experience.
They did. They were using that catchphrase a lot.
Mm-hmm. And it's.
But then we even had an experience guide. His name was Billy.
Yeah, Billy did a great job.
He did. Give him props for
we got chairs in our front office right now that say superstar experience.
I wonder if we should have tipped Billy.
I think they pay a whole lot more than we can.
Yeah. Well, and we didn't really get an opportunity either. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to lose anything. I'm a fiddler. You know that.
Yeah. And so they crafted it. And the reason I like the wrestling in WWE is you've got to create short stories mm-hmm. for just the event.
Right.
And they tie into a longer story, mm-hmm. which is the whole brand.
Right. And they've got arcs. They've got full story mm-hmm. arcs, full character arcs. And professional wrestling has been a soap opera always.
Yeah.
Always. Mm-hmm. In 20 or so years ago is when they finally acknowledged it.
It was when they went from WWF
to WWE.
To WWE. That was like 90s.
Yeah,
I want to say they lost that lawsuit.
Yeah, against the World Wildlife Fund. Uh-huh. So that was 30 years ago.
Yeah. It's been a major long time.
But that's when they kind of acknowledged that we're entertainment. Mm-hmm. We're sports entertainment.
Yeah.
And that's when it was acknowledged, and that's when I actually gained some respect for them at that point. Because they, there's a word. What's the word where the kfob? Yeah, kfob is is the illusion. We found that out watching the Rock's TV sitcom.
Okay.
Among other things, but yeah.
Yeah.
Where the wrestlers have to keep the illusion, sometimes even out of the ring.
Okay.
In the ring, it's the storyline.
Yeah, it's the storyline. Yeah, it's the storyline.
I mean, these guys are like dire enemies in the ring, but they're best buddies out.
Yeah, and you can't. It's breaking character.
Yeah, and you don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You want to keep the illusion alive, and that's part of the experience.
Yeah, and you see that. It was fun because we watched one of the wrestlers. I can't think of which one because it was one of the bigger ones that just started cracking up. It was over.
Yeah.
Kofi Kingston.
Yeah, they were up against the Usos.
Yeah, the Usos, and the Usos are serious
grr
guys, and there was a point where
it was the New Day they're a couple of they play the clown.
Yeah.
That's their character. And the bright colors, they throw pancakes around, they do little dances, and there was a point where was it the trombone? He was sort of twerking to the trombone.
Yeah.
And one of the Usos who was supposed to be all, wow, this is outrageous, and it was cracking up. He broke character because it was funny.
It was funny, and after the show is down, that they probably have an energy drink or whatever to pat each other on the back for a good show, because when you're performing that close together, you don't want to hurt each other.
No, you don't. I mean, because here's the thing: if you actively hurt your opponent physically,
it's not an opponent; it's the character around.
Okay, if your character hurts your opponent's character, then it kind of puts a twist in your career too.
Yeah,
your partners. Your partners, and having an experience with a partner is a pretty darn awesome thing. Well,
they got to have that trust.
Yes,
being able to go back and forth, and you get that same trust in the office, because you don't want to hand someone off to Sherry back and receiving, and if Sherry completely throws you under the bus or
drops the ball
entirely, you're going to have trust issues.
It reflects bad. Then the client reflects badly on you
and the experience of the entire company.
Exactly, because you want a customer or a client's experience to be positive across every line, through every person they touch.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, you can get away with it, an honest mistake being made, but having someone negatively throw someone under the bus, or hurt someone, or cast shade on someone, you can't have that. You got to have good team play.
Even if your team is, I don't want to say faking it, but acknowledging. I mean, yeah, you and one of your other team members might not have good chemistry. But professionalism is the key. You never take it out of the professional box. Because
I think some of that's been lost too.
Overall, yeah, probably. I worked with a gal one time, and we did not at all personally get along. But we were both professional, and wasn't until she quit that people realized we didn't like each other.
No.
And she quit because she found another job.
No.
But yeah, nobody knew that we didn't like each other because we were professional. And I've always been very proud of that.
Yeah, that's a heck of one. I like to build teams around me that can interact.
It's easier if you like each other, but sometimes it's just not going to happen. Now, in our situation where we are a small business, we kind of have to.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I was working for a large corporation at the time, and that was a perfectly accepted. That was understandable that maybe somebody was hired to do the job that we didn't have good chemistry, because that's human. But we are in charge of our own hiring, and bringing people on board, so we want to make sure that everyone gets along.
Well, yeah, you got to be able to have civil conversations. Are they can you go out and have a beer with them? Can you go out and bowl with them? Can you go out? And that's part of the story building, is building companions and companionship.
Exactly. And by doing that, you expand your circle of friends, which is never a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
And not just, even if it's not, you may not make a best friend for this, but you've got a contact, you've got a relationship with somebody who, you need to have a relationship with of some sort, and it expands that a little bit.
Well, yeah, and you got to have a certain level of confidence in yourself.
Yes, and that's not always easy.
Because that allows you to go out and have, carry that story and build that story in other places. Mm-hmm. One of the interesting ones was yesterday. I had contact from, was one of our previous neighbors, the mechanic who's a shop. We used him a couple times. A great guy, Maxwell. And he's like, "Did you guys move?" Because we moved in a rather quick basis.
We did.
We found a place, and within 3 weeks we were gone. Mm-hmm. To our new location of 413 North Mission Street. Yeah.
So if you look for us, that's how we are. We're
yeah, but we had people literally, but that next week, looking us up on Google, and they found our new location.
Oh yeah, we're easy to Google, and then it actually drops the pin for us is so easy to find.
And that's with technology. There are still some flyers out there with our old address.
There's pens out there with our old phone number.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. But we've been working on most of our modern pens.
Oh yeah, all the new pens do, but we've had pens that have been around for years.
Yeah, but you're talking that old number is greater than 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah, people don't lose our pens. They like our pens.
Yeah, but yeah, it's that's part of the
that has our old number on it. That was our first pen style.
Yeah, that was our first pen style.
Mm-hmm. I always like that one.
Not so much. I like our new ones better.
Our new ones are better, but I did like that pen style. This one wasn't available when we were with those.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we've been slowly building our.
That would have been more effective if that had been on video. But yes, we are slowly building
our story and what is told of us, and because it is important, because that's what people share. Mm-hmm. And we've had someone was pointing out in one of our other forums that to recommend a restaurant, mm-hmm. it's not just the great food.
No,
it's was the waiter on point? Was the mm-hmm. staff on point? Was it clean? Did they do an amazing table side dinner?
Event.
Yeah, it's like, what do they have to do for, what does a restaurant have to do? Because you're not going to sit there and say, "Oh, hey, I'm going to, 5-star McDonald's."
Unless it's an exceptional McDonald's.
Yeah, but you really don't
it's gotta
see
be
that.
A full experience moment.
Yeah.
There's a McDonald's on a riverboat. Maybe that's one you might get an experience from.
But reality, you're not going to McDonald's for an experience.
Not unless you're 5 years old and having your birthday party.
I don't think they do that anymore.
Yeah, they do. They still do birthday parties.
Are you sure?
Yeah, pretty sure. You can still go. You can go through the drive-thru and buy a cake from them. It can be done.
Yeah, but not in a non-joking manner.
Yeah.
Okay.
I might have to prove it to you. Might I? Those are actually they're frozen because they keep a stash mm-hmm. of frozen cakes. And I know they slowed down a lot during COVID, but yeah, the birthday party at McDonald's is still a thing. You're gonna have to make me prove it, aren't you?
No, you really don't have to prove that one.
So
I was a scarred McDonald's employee, and it's like, no, I really don't want to.
Hey, I came way too close to being a McDonald's hostess. One of those that throw those parties. I was getting trained before I quit. So I was like, I want to do this.
Yeah.
So I know a little bit more about that. But overall, yes, it's experience. Mm-hmm. And no, you don't normally have a full experience at a fast food restaurant mm-hmm. But you might have an experience at a small restaurant,
One that's it's okay. it struck me. Franchises are incredibly easy to plug into because they kind of spoon feed the experience.
The experience they're creating is familiarity. You know, the minute you walk into an Applebee's in Ames, Iowa, you're going to get the exact same food as if you walk into an Applebee's in Hollywood, Florida. You are not going to have any kind of a different, but that familiarity is an experience into itself.
And some people need that.
Yes, absolutely. They just need to have that comfort zone.
It's a comfort, and that's really about where you are in creating stories. There are some people that are not confident.
Yes,
and they need that comfort because they could be going out and doing the sales presentation of their life, and they need something to comfort them. It's you can't bring over the macaroni and cheese on Thanksgiving with the crusty top. It's got to be extra cheesy because that's the extra cheesy is what they're used to.
Right, and that's traditional level.
But that's comfort.
It is, but Thanksgiving is traditionally a comfort food situation.
What's comfortable for you doesn't mean it's comfortable for someone else.
Nope, but that's why it's usually families that come together for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, but we're seeing a lot more Friendsgiving. Yeah,
absolutely. And that's when you share your family's traditions and you get to test out other people's comfort products.
But that's what I'm pointing out.
Okay.
And there are some people that need that traditional package.
Yes.
Because they don't feel safe. They feel threatened. So they're going to cling to that. And then there's others that are comfortable and want to create new stories. And so they're going to try something else. They're going to say, okay, let's try this Chinese noodle dish for Thanksgiving instead.
So how do you encourage somebody who's nervous and maybe a little afraid to push out of that comfort to try something totally different and have a new experience?
You got to safe port them.
Okay. And safe porting them is?
You provide a place where they feel safe, where they've got zero risk.
Okay.
We do it a lot in sales.
Yeah.
Most people aren't even aware of it. We do hey, you know what? You can try it. If you don't like it, we'll give you your money back. That's an example of safe porting. We do it really well in our area because we'll say, hey, yeah, go check out the other agency.
Don't even hesitate.
We don't even hesitate because we know that we will service. We take care of people, and if they need that comparison to see on what level that we're doing, awesome, go for it.
Yeah.
And that's where we stand out really quick. It's like, you get a grab bag? Yeah, you get a grab bag. We shake down. We purposely put information together, and we treat people like our family because this is our family business. It's not, it's not someone who's inherited the business. It's not someone who's inherited the business, has been doing it for 50, 60 years. We treat each other, as a growing business, and we try new things. Because,
no, we don't want to disparage people who inherit businesses because they can make them their own.
They have to make it their own.
Yes.
And that is critical.
That is an experience in its own right. Not everybody does, not everybody can, but if you do, you're on a better track.
Yeah, and it was, we were watching Karate Kid.
Yes.
The Cobra Kai. And I'm going to throw down a spoiler here. So if you've seen it, spoiler alert
for season 5.
They go in and Daniel's like, oh, I never go in here. I never go in there. And they open up Mr. Miyagi's room. And there's a bonsai tree that's dead.
Dead on a doornail.
And it's like,
that is so sad.
It was like they just sealed it up when he died, and they killed his last tree he was working on.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that is just horrible.
Now, I get that they were in mourning, but come on.
Yeah, and
what if they had a goldfish?
But that's,
you know,
or a dog.
Our dog, a little kitty. I'd say it would have been really horrible.
Here's your corgi. We'll just seal it up.
Matt.
So, but that is an inherited business that refused to change. It's that room of the dead bonsai in the dust.
Now, and it took in that series. It took a lot of effort for Daniel LaRusso to start to embrace change, and it took his longtime enemy, to shake him up and challenge him. Yeah, and you should watch it because it's a really good series. And my friend Frank is the costume designer for it.
It's one of those things that we it's like, it's a small world after all. It happens, and it happens surprisingly quick. I'm trying to think of when yes, we were visited, or we're one of the few people we were visited yesterday by a young kid doing door-to-door insurance. Oh, bless his heart! 21 years old, moved from Kansas, working the accident plans. Yeah. And he's got a good product, which is a very good start. Oh yeah, we actually own one of the products. Yeah, we do, and we're fine with that. But and he was trying, and we gave him some advice because we kind of can't not. Yeah, it's one of those things. That's like, one of the things that we just kind of can't keep our yap shut on that kind of stuff. We've seen this pitch before, and we played with it. It's like, hey, look, we know you've got a good product. We've already got it. It's going to take you practice because it's tough. That is a tough thing. He's going to learn more about people going door to door than probably anything I've ever seen. Door to door is so hard. It is brutal. I recommend highly for anyone that really wants to learn about humanity is go to door to door. Yeah, it's right in the same category as waitressing. That level of hard work and interaction. Everyone needs to work retail or waitress or do door to door. Those levels of customer service. And it's difficult nowadays because of the whole divisions. And people hate people have to make a decision when they are surprised by something. By something out of the ordinary, someone knocking on your door. Is this a good guy? This is a bad guy. This has got something I want, something I don't want, and that is very important to if you're making those surprises and you're doing that adventure to kind of reassure, hey, nothing strange going on. You got to introduce yourself, and that's part of that story play. When you are adventuring in that manner or you're doing that business, nothing weird here. How can I help you? And that's kind of become a lost art. Yeah, to a degree it has. I mean, it's something that has to be taught and learned, and you don't see it with the corporates. No. Unless it's high end, unless they're doing the VIP thing. Yeah. You're not wrong. If you will see it again at the small business with the business owners, because there was a couple of years ago we went to Winthrop, and you could tell the difference between who owned the business and who was hired. Yes. Okay, I have a really good example of that. When we went to the I went to the Chicken Shack, the new chicken. It's a small franchise. It's a franchise. They opened one up here in Wenatchee. Decent chicken. Go get some. I enjoyed it. Great service. The owner popped out just into the lobby, just to kind of check in on the crowd, and I knew she was the owner. So I said, "Hey, you are the owner?" And we had a little conversation. And of course, I gave her my card because that's what I do. But she was making sure the experience was positive for everybody and making those connections. That's an example. That's an engaged owner. That is an engaged owner. She was very, very excited. And this was our soft opening,
and they were pretty busy for a soft opening period.
Well, yeah, because there was quite a bit of buzz online about it.
And they hadn't even hit social media themselves. This was just side buzz.
Mm-hmm.
And
because people are looking for stories.
Yeah.
They're looking to create that new experience. Mm-hmm. They're reaching out.
And people like to be the first at something as part of the experience that a lot of folks like. And so that's what that part of it was. But she did a really great job of keeping her customers, giving them a positive experience. And so did her entire serve staff. They did a great job. Mm-hmm. They didn't have a full menu yet. They were still doing soft openings. The guy who took my order, he forgot to ask what you wanted on your chicken sandwich. So the cook came out and asked me.
Okay.
And that's a really positive experience. And that worked out really good. But I got to remember, if you're going to be doing something like that, give them some grace.
Yeah, that's one of the things is you've got to be forgiving because it's new.
It's new.
It's unique.
New experiences can be very scary for people. Give them a minute.
Mm-hmm. And one of the unique experiences our son's going through right now is he's working with the drama club.
Mm-hmm. He checked out the drama club yesterday. He is pushing his experience boundaries. Mm-hmm. And we've always encouraged him to do that. And it's not easy when you're a teenager.
Yeah.
It's hard. And it's been really hard for teenagers the last couple of years because there hasn't been anything with COVID. And so now he's got the opportunity to go out there and, touch new people. And he got brave yesterday. And I love that he did. I'm so proud of him. And he also, I think one of the things that maybe encouraged him is that he came with us to our experience on Sunday to the WWE, and he was a little about it starting off, but then he really got into it.
Yeah, because it's been something that I watch every Saturday morning. Mm-hmm. I for years.
Oh yeah, as long as I've known you.
Well, since we got Hulu.
Yeah. So literally years.
We watch it, and occasionally he wanders out and he catches it and sees it, and they do kind of interesting things. He knows some of the moves,
and he knows a lot of the actors. Performers.
So it's something familiar, but it's a passing familiarity.
Now you two have great conversations about it. You do.
Yeah.
Especially during the show, you guys get into it.
Yeah.
And you connect it on a visceral level with it, and which is awesome.
Well, yeah, it's because there was a little bit of familiarity with it, but it was the, being there, 10 feet away from the mat.
Oh yeah, we were right up there.
We could literally throw a beer up there if we wanted to.
We didn't have to.
But that's on how close we were, and it created an entirely different dynamic. Mm-hmm. The sounds were different. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, one of the big things I noticed was they didn't have the announcer's table.
No, they had Byron, that one dude.
They had Byron and one dude, and they had the ring keeper was the bell keeper was like right in front of us, but largely the ring table was out.
Yeah, because it was not a broadcast episode.
Mm-hmm.
It was private almost.
Yeah,
for our 3,000 people, it was just for us.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty powerful experience.
Mm-hmm. They had the sound booth, and the lighting was
a ways over.
Was a ways over. It was on the floor.
They did a great job, by the way. Major props to them.
But yeah, they set it in. They had four light bars that they could focus. But it was a really one ring. It was tight with the amount of materials they had.
They did a great job with it. It was very, very professional feeling, which of course it should have been. Mm-hmm. It didn't feel stripped down.
Well, it's that experience. It's if you want the stage equivalent of it, it's theater in the round.
It was. It literally was. Well, one of the things that was really powerful about the experience was the wrestlers would directly interact with the crowd.
Yes.
Without any kind they were breaking the fourth wall. Mm-hmm. And without hesitating, they jump up and they shout, shut up at us because we were booing them. And that kind of connection really resonates with people.
Yeah, it was that, hey, I'm shouting at the TV, and oh my God, it's shouting back at me.
Exactly. And that's probably a decent place to call it.
Yeah, so
because it's been 30 minutes.
It has been. So yeah, get out and look at the stories you're creating. Look at the stories you're in.
Mm-hmm. And have fun with them.
And start having fun with them. One of the biggest ones that I've ever done that just blew some people away when I first came to town was going car shopping.
Yeah.
I acknowledge that car shopping is an experience. We walked in and to one of the dealers. It was about a week before the end of the month, so they were a little bit on the hungry side. And we walked out of there with 2 cars.
We did. That was a hell of a
and with it was like, at the time it was like 0% financing when they weren't doing that sort of thing.
We did really good deal.
We did really good, and some of the industry insiders that had experience, it's like, how'd you do that? We understood the story and we actively crafted it.
Well, yes. And then when you do that, your salespeople respond.
Yep.
All right, that's a good place to stop. So, hey, thanks for joining us on Suzie today. We will be back next week with episode 110.
Yes. So, hey, have a great week, and we will be talking with you soon.
Hasta luego.